What's the word, y'all? I'm your boy Jay, back at it. I'm from the Heavy Hitters. Today's episode, we're gonna talk about what made ECW One Night Stand 2006 so special. Personally, one of my favorite pay-per-views of all time. We're gonna jump into it. Make sure y'all comment down below. B and Shamar will be dropping their content on this channel too. This is a new channel, a new start for all three of us. So make sure y'all comment, subscribe, and your boys are gonna run and dominate the YouTube game. But on today's episode, I'm gonna talk about ECW One Night Stand 2006 and what made it so special. Personally, this is my favorite pay-per-view of all time, just because of the atmosphere and the feel and everything. I'm gonna let y'all know my favorite moments of this pay-per-view and what made it so special. So ECW was completely dead after the invasion angle in 2001. They completely went under. Vince basically bought all the rights to WCW and ECW in like 2001. So we get here. They had the ECW One Night Stand 2005, which was a major success. Did one of the greatest pay-per-view buys they ever had. So they decided to revamp. Let's run it back again. So they brought back a lot of the old faces. Sandman, Sabu, Taz was already the OG. They basically had like ECW invade Raw and SmackDown. They were having people, what was the word I want to use? Defect. They had people defect from SmackDown and Raw to ECW to help them elevate their star power. So they got Kurt Angle. Big Show actually revealed one of his like 10,000 heel turns. Revealed he was with ECW. A whole bunch of craziness was going on. This is personally one of my favorite, I was like 9 years old when this was going on. I was like, dang, a whole nother company just invaded WWE. Like, they going nuts. So everything was still real to me. So let's actually jump into the pay-per-view itself. First of all, they went back to the Hammerstein Ballroom. Now, for people who don't know, the Hammerstein Ballroom was where ECW was like born. And they basically had their shows there all the time. They weren't like this big global, force like WWE or even WCW at that time. You know, they were just mostly in that area right there. So they went back to the Hammerstein Ballroom, which is pretty cool. People are going nuts. They're chanting ECW nonstop. So Paul Heyman hits the ring. He comes out. He's like, you know what? He said, on behalf of every wrestler who wanted to be hardcore more than they wanted to be a superstar, on behalf of everyone who lived the dream and fought the fight and never gave up hope, the tribe of Extreme has risen again. Another ECW. They were going nuts. They chanted ECW nonstop. They were blowing the roof off the place. They were going nuts chanting, thank you, Paulie. He said, this time, we're going to pour the Kool-Aid down their throats for a new global audience that is going to learn that it all started here. And he announced, in the immediate future, ECW is coming back weekly, and we're going to be on the Sci-Fi Network every Tuesday. Then he said this basically couldn't happen without Vince McMahon. So, because the fans just wanted it so much. So he's like, thank you, Vince. He said, now let's take it home, ladies and gentlemen. This is better than Raw. This is better than SmackDown. He said, we will be the Messiah of the new breed, unleash the swinging strong of Extreme back to where he was. This is better than SmackDown. This is better than Raw. This is the rebirth of ECW. So basically, the fans were going nuts at this point. And as many wrestling shows have I watched, I've seen a lot of wild shows. I've seen John Cena versus CM Punk in Chicago. The fans were going nuts for that. I've seen a lot of crazy crowds. This is like the most reckless crowd I've ever seen. So Taz versus Jerry Lawler was the first match. So Taz came out and he was basically like, I wanna say Taz was like the Samoa Joe, kind of like of ECW. He was like the submission machine. He was a beast, like, and then his promos was like outrageous. So he came out, the fans went nuts for him. He came out like in his OG, like the orange shirt and the black training pants. Jerry Lawler came out. Man, they went nuts when Jerry Lawler came out. They chanted, "You suck," you suck the man parts and all that. And he was just loving it. He was smiling. He was loving every bit of this. So what had me cracking up was when he went to Joey Styles and just slapped him. Like just straight bully Joey Styles for no reason. So then he walked down to the ring and Styles basically jumped on his back to start the match and tried to choke him out. So then Lawler basically flipped him over and Taz came over, put him in basically the Taz mission and basically choked out Lawler like off the rip. So Taz won that match like super quick. The fans are going nuts. So then we got Randy Orton versus Kurt Angle. So Randy Orton came out first. We all know Randy Orton been a dirtbag like his whole life. He's loving it. He's embracing all of it. Kurt Angle come out. They basically changed Kurt Angle theme song. I remember this. They changed his theme song so you couldn't chant like the "You Suck" in a normal way. It was kind of cold though. It's probably one of my favorite Kurt Angle theme songs of all time. So he comes out. They start chanting "F him up, Angle, F him up, F him up, Angle, F him up." So they're having this great match. Kurt Angle had the ECW mouthpiece. Like, you know how Kurt Angle always with a mouthpiece. Instead of it just being a regular mouthpiece, he had ECW in it. And basically, I don't think I mentioned this. They basically gave ECW more star power because ECW really had a bunch of dudes who weren't really stars. They were basically like stuntmen. Kurt Angle and Big Show gave him that star power. So Kurt Angle slapped Randy Orton, and the crowd just went nuts. It's like, "You got B slapped, you got B slapped," and then they start going like having the exchange and all that. Not Randy Orton. Kurt Angle is, he's still in his submission machine, the wrestling machine. I'm sorry, the wrestling machine. This was like when he was just unreal. Like 06 Kurt Angle is just going nuts. Like I said, they're going nuts. This match didn't last too long. They were talking about how Randy Orton had Kurt Angle had broke Randy Orton's ankle like a few weeks before the One Night Stand pay-per-view, and they kept bringing that up. And basically, Kurt Angle snapped on the ankle lock. It was over. Kurt Angle tapped out, and you could just tell like the ECW fans, they went nuts for this. Kurt Angle, he beat Randy Orton. Randy Orton had to basically get helped out to the back on one angle, and they were chanting when he was on his way back out. The fans were chanting, "You tapped out." And then they called him the P word. They called him, just basically said, "You a P word, the female organ, man, and get the F out." So they were just on Randy Orton. And I love this because Randy Orton, he already like a dirtbag in real life. So him being in this atmosphere with these people, like I just loved it, man. And Kurt Angle, this was like unreal. Kurt Angle, that intensity, the drive and everything was just unreal. He was going. I love Kurt Angle because he always went 1,010% every time. So now we got FBI versus Super Crazy and Tajiri. Now this match, it was Super Crazy. I think Super Crazy was one of those OGs too from ECW. Like WWE had a lot of dudes from ECW. This match was pretty solid too. They didn't really use as much Extreme Rules matches. Like this wasn't an Extreme Rules match. This is just a great wrestling match. Super Crazy actually is he was real cold in the ring. He the only Mexican I ever seen with a Jerry curl. He was going cool. There was the one dude in FBI. I forgot his name. He was super. His name was Big Guido. I forgot his name. So the fans, they were going nuts. Nunzio and FBI, they picked up the dub when they had a double fisherman drive onto Jerry for the 3. This match, it wasn't really too much going on. Like it was just something just like there. I don't remember either one of these. I think Super Crazy is the ECW original. So this match was kind of cool. So now we get to my favorite part of ECW One Night Stand. JBL, John Bradshaw Layfield, in my opinion, the greatest heel probably I've ever seen in my life. He was, he said oh my God. He basically, so Taz and Joey Styles, they were talking, and he basically cut them off. And he was like, they were chanting, "You suck, blah, 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 you suck, blah, blah, blah," like the male parts again. They were going nuts. So JBL was like, "Look, I see no women out here, and y'all are chanting about a male organ. Now tell me who's the fruit booty." Like, he snapped. I said, "Oh my God!" Like that couldn't fly today in like today's era, man, where everything is like so PC now. Like, man, like he was just ruthless. So then he talked about the Blue Meanie. He said, "When I knocked your boy out, when I knocked his fat A out," and JBL was like, I'm the king of hardcore. I'm the wrestling god." He said, "Y'all got our people." He said, "Kurt Angle, Big Show, Rob Van Dam, those are our guys. They made their name in WWE." He said, "They're stars because of people like him and because of Vince McMahon." So then he turned to Taz. He said, "Taz, you're gonna leave Friday nights, Prime TV, to go work on Tuesdays on the Sci-Fi Network, on some nerdy network that geeks love on the Sci-Fi channel." And Taz was like, "You right." And then JBL was like, "You know what? You a household name, Taz. You need to think about what you doing." He's like, "Because if you wouldn't have left, you would have got fired." He said JBL is gonna go back to SmackDown, be the voice of SmackDown, be the voice of the A show. He said, he said, "I'm the wrestling guy." He said, "I'm out of here. This place sucks." And Taz like, "Basically, why'd you come?" Like the amount of hatred in this like JBL, probably my favorite heel of all time. The way he just, man, like just unreal. So now we got another like instant classic. We got Sabu versus Rey Mysterio for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, this match, basically, this was a little different for me because usually heavyweight matches are usually like between dudes like Batista and John Cena. Both of these dudes were like well under 200 pounds, but they put on an instant classic in my opinion. So Sabu came out first. They went nuts for him, of course. Sabu. Rey Mysterio came out. He expected to get a big reaction because he's Rey Mysterio. He started his career there. Nah. He actually had ECW on the back of his mask. They did not care about none of that. So this match was under Extreme Rules. They were doing the announcement, and my favorite is the homicidal, suicidal, genocidal, death-defying Sabu. Like, I love that. Like, I thought Sabu was like the most nuts person like I've ever seen in my life. Like, he was unreal. This match, like straight off the rip, they were going nuts. They went back instantly. They went and got chairs and everything. I saw Rey Mysterio. It was Sabu. He threw the chair like right at Rey Mysterio's head. Rey Mysterio did like a West Coast pop off the rope onto while Sabu was sitting on the chair. I saw Rey Mysterio. He did a face buster with the chair in his face, into Sabu's face, and basically Sabu, he told the ref like he tore his bicep, like, and they were going nuts. Rey Mysterio, Sabu had did like this moonsault where like he ran across the ring. He jumped on the chair and then he jumped off the top rope and did a moonsault onto Rey Mysterio. I was like, man, this match is just going nuts. So they had set up a table on the guardrail and like the end of the ring, and that was set up there, and you knew it was going to be used during the match. So Sabu was on the table. Rey Mysterio had jumped onto the chair, onto the top rope, and had DDT Sabu through the table. So the crowd went, holy yes, holy yes. Like, so for a minute though, like I thought Sabu like broke his neck. It didn't look too good. So the crowd didn't appreciate that the match got caught up. I don't think they care about other people's well-being, let alone their well-being, because they're nuts. This match was really great. It was kind of sad that it ended in a basically a no contest, but this match was really great. This is one of those matches where Rey Mysterio's title reign really wasn't that great because he was losing. He kept losing to the bigger guys, and a lot of his world title matches were in disqualifications and no contest. But this match was great, even though it ended in a no contest. A+ match. They went nuts for. I think they only got like 10 minutes or something like that. Yeah, they went kudos. So now we got Mick Foley and Edge going against Tommy Dreamer and Terry Funk. Now I remember Edge and Mick Foley, they had a little rivalry before this, like a couple months before this, where they were feuding into WrestleMania 22. They had a hardcore match. If y'all haven't seen that match at WrestleMania 22, go check it out. One of the most nuts matches I've ever. Barbed wire, thumbtacks. The one spot where Edge had speared Mick Foley through the table, it was nuts. But first, Mick Foley came out, and this is another ECW original, just like Rey Mysterio, just like a lot of these other dudes. They showed Mick Foley no love. So he grabbed the mic. He said, all right. They chanted, you sold out, you sold out. He's like, all right, I sold out. He said, I sold out Madison Square Garden. And he started laughing. And he was like, you know what? I loved ECW. And I respected ECW when it was ran by a visionary, Stephanie McMahon. Long live the Alliance. So people just booed him. Like, if y'all didn't see the invasion angle, I actually watched a lot of it. That was before I started watching wrestling. That was one of those things that had a lot of potential but went nowhere. So then Edge got on the mic. He said Mick doesn't want to mess with the fans because of their Christmas, because this is their Christmas. He said only their Santa is Jewish and fat, bald, and hands out some stuff I can't say. So just real derogatory. I mean, not derogatory, but like just over the top. So then Lena got on the mic. Said Tommy Dreamer and Terry Funk think they got a chance of beating Foley and Edge. She said she sat on Tommy Dreamer's face, and that's the most action he had got in his whole life. I said, dang. But we do know Lita was a bot back in the day, so she would have did like anything to anybody. So next we got the OGs, Terry Funk and Tommy Dreamer, with Beulah McGillicuddy. Now Terry Funk and Tommy Dreamer, they're OGs, man. They're part of that ECW OG. Beulah McGillicuddy, she was married to Tommy Dreamer. They might still be together, man. If y'all let me know down below if they're still together. But she got on the mic. She said she never thought she'd see the day that trash come out of her mouth is more disgusting than she puts in. Because basically Lita was a bop. That was like the whole thing that they will always go to. Lita, you a bop. You can't say nothing. So keep your mouth closed because we all know what goes in it. So now they had let it be known that this is a 6-person intergender tag team match. So now it was Mick Foley, Edge, and Lita going up against Beulah, Tommy Dreamer, and and Terry Funk. So, and it's still Extreme Rules, just to let y'all know. So they're going nuts. Like they're bringing out chairs, thumbtacks. I know Mick Foley, he had like the barbed wire, like he had the barbed wire wrapped around his hands. So like if you watching the match, his hand is bleeding like the whole time. Like, and he don't care because Mick Foley don't feel pain. So they're going nuts. They're bringing out like stop signs. They're hitting each other with stop signs. And there was this one spot in the match where basically Mick Foley, he had wrapped barbed wire around Mick Foley like face, and Terry Funk is screaming like, my eye is gone, like my eye is gone. So the EMTs, they went and took Terry Funk back to the back, and like he's gone like for most of the match. So then Mick Foley had hit Tommy Dreamer with a low blow with a barbed wire bat, and like it's like super reckless. So then they all try to team up on Beulah, but not Terry Funk. Tommy Dreamer. He stops all that. They got the 2x4s with the barbed wire, and it actually lighted on fire, like real ECW style. So Mick Foley is nuts. He walking around with this barbed wire bat that's on fire, and basically they're hitting Tommy. Mick Foley actually got whacked with it a couple times. Tommy Dreamer, there was this one spot, not Tommy Dreamer, where Mick Foley and Terry Funk, they actually fall into the barbed wire and they're just laying in it. And Edge had speared, who was it? Tommy Dreamer, because he was like making jokes. He was like taunting, and Edge had tried to spear him, and then basically caught him with a DDT. So Edge had basically, then he had speared Beulah. He had throw Tommy Dreamer out, so he said do the count. So he got on top of like Beulah in like this real like sexual position. He started like basically like dry humping her like while the ref was doing the count. Like it was just ridiculous. So now we got so Edge, my bad. Edge, Mick Foley, and Lita actually picked up the dub. The fans did not like this. They were going nuts. Balls Mahoney run up against Masato Tatanka. Now I always call him Tatanka, but Tatanka was actually, he was this kind of like this Indian wrestler, but he was like massive. This match didn't really end too quick. Hey, Balls Mahoney was my boy though. Like when he first came out, this match didn't go too far. He basically super kicked Tatanka and beat him, and then Tatanka he hit Tatanka with a chair shot. Balls Mahoney basically beat him in like less than 3 minutes type stuff. So Balls Mahoney picked up the dub right there. ECW fans, they still going nuts. That's their boy. So now Eugene comes out. Now, if y'all don't know about Eugene, man, Eugene was a guy who he was the mentally disabled character in WWE, which is probably one of the most outrageous. That wouldn't fly today. A lot of stuff they did in the Ruthless Aggression era wouldn't fly today. He said he loved ECW, and basically, his uncle Eric told him that he was as smart as the ECW fan. Basically saying Eugene is dumb and ECW fans are just as dumb. Like, they're just stupid. So he started reading a poem. He said, ECW is a place that I love to be. I love Terry Funk and RVD. Stevie Richards makes me howl when it sweats. He wants to use Taz's towel. ECW ain't phony. He wants a hug. He wants to hug Balls Mahoney. The crowd goes. They chanted, "Shut the F up" at Eugene. So then Sandman, he comes down with 2 kendo sticks. With a few, he comes down like through the crowd, like you know how the shield comes out, but it takes him like 10 minutes to get down there. He comes down with all the beers. He's going nuts. So, basically Eugene is trying to give Sandman a hug. The crowd is going nuts. They saying F him up, Sandman, F him up. F him up, Sandman. F him up. So, he basically told him to beg. So Eugene begged to like, no, please don't hit me with the kendo stick. Please don't. So he started wearing Eugene out the kendo stick. And, you know, he gets the beers. He kind of like their version of like Stone Cold, the no nonsense beer drinking. But, you know, I rocked with Sandman. He was one of my favorites when I was watching ECW. So now we get to the main event. The whole reason why ECW One Night Stand came back. We got Rob Van Dam versus John Cena in one of the greatest matches I've ever seen, like in John Cena's career. So RVD hits the ring first. They're going nuts for him. They're going nuts. So next, basically, Cena lets the crowd go nuts. They're loving like RVD. They're giving all. They're waiting on like Cena is really like in heel mode right now because he knows the environment he's going into. He knows like they're just gonna boo him. Like so, Cena comes out. I've never heard John Cena get booed like this ever in my life. Like I'm a John Cena fan. I've been watching him basically his whole career. I've never seen John Cena get booed like this. I've seen Money in the Bank 2011. Seen that. You know, they were pretty ruthless on him. Even after WrestleMania 21. So he's coming down to the ring. Basically, Cena puts his championship up, holds his head down, he walks to the ring. So as Cena's walking to the ring, you see the sign. If Cena wins, we riot. Like basically, there's no way Cena's making out of this pay-per-view like alive. Like if Cena wins, we're gonna riot. And legit, if Cena would have won that match, basically if Cena was to win, nobody was getting out of there safe. They would throw chairs and everything in there. So Cena basically starts off the match. He takes his shirt off. He throws it in the crowd. They throw it back in. So he's like, all right, like I can't believe they just threw my shirt back in. Cena's like he's like starting to get pissed off for real. He throws his shirt back again. I think the security guard threw it back and he threw up his middle finger at John Cena. So Cena's like, all right, man. So they get together. Basically, they start doing like traditional wrestling moves like grapples and everything. They basically tell Cena he can't wrestle. They're going back and forth. Cena is wrestling this whole thing like a heel. He's doing moves and then he's like pausing. He's like laughing and stuff. Every time he does like a move, they'll chant overrated, same old. So they're like he at one point I remember Cena, he had grabbed a like it was like Cena sucks or something. He had grabbed the sign, he had punched RVD like with the sign like on top of his face. RVD did his traditional move like where he does like the I forgot what it's called, but he jumps off the bed. He does like a spin like off the top while the person's on the barricade. They're hitting each other with chair shots. Like John Cena's actually like he's digging deep. Like he's using the chair. He's doing all these like extreme rules and stuff now. So the crowd is still like into this. So so basically this dude, he comes out in a black like all black in a motor helmet, like a motorcycle helmet, and he spears Cena through the table. So I'm like, man, who is this, man? So eventually he takes the helmet off and it's Edge. So I'm like, oh my, like the most hated dude like on earth. If you were like between the ages of like 6 and 12 at that point, you hated Edge. Like you couldn't stand him. He just basically screwed John Cena out of the championship. RVD gets back up there. He goes up to the top rope. He hits the 5-star frog splash, but the referee is still knocked out because Cena decked him. Cena decked the referee in the match. Forgot to mention that. So he's, basically RVD has like a 10 count on John Cena right now. So Paul Heyman comes out and he does the 3 count. And I'm like, hold on, is this legal? So then they eventually ring the bell. RVD is they call it the new WWE ECW champion. They all celebrate. All the ECW people come out. And And you're just like, wow, this dude RVD, who was basically a mid carder his whole life, his whole career, came in and beat the man. John Cena was like only the man at this point for like a year, but I think around this time the fans were starting to kind of turn on him a little bit because they saw he was like the man. But RVD was gonna be the face of ECW and all that, and you know he eventually blew that. And we can talk about that in a later episode if y'all want to do that. But now RVD is a WWE champion. He goes in the crowd. He celebrates with the ECW fans. They're going nuts. You know, they didn't riot or nothing like that. In my opinion, like I said, this was like a 10 out of 10 pay-per-view. Greatest pay-per-view I've ever seen in my life. Like, man, make sure y'all comment down below. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Like, your boys are on their way to 1K. Thank you for all the love and all the support on the new channel. I'm your boy Jay, and I'm out.